Rail Baltica project is very much a manifestation of reconnecting the Baltic states to Europe. It's an immense engineering project that stretches from Estonia through to Latvia and into Lithuania. And now to talk more about it, I'm joined by Mr. Eriks Dilevs, who is the head of the Latvian branch of Rail Baltica. Thanks so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start from the beginning. Look at the whole genesis of this project. Tell us a bit how that's all come about.
Well, initially the idea of Rail Baltica project goes back to 1994, when, this Baltic State Agreement was signed of implementing the project. And basically here we are today, many decisions were made. And now even, due to the political reasons and all what's happening in the East, the project has more significance in terms of, I would say, military mobility aspect and so on. So, now it's about delivering the high-speed rail project, linking Baltic states with Central Europe, and obviously through Poland. And I would say it's the main mandate for us now.
And I think it's also such an interesting story because it is very much reconnecting this part of the world to Western Europe. But if you look at the rail gauge, right? So tell us a little bit about that, because I think that's hampered very much, a lot of transportation lines between the Baltic states and Europe, right? So why is this now more of a priority?
Well, rail gauge, the idea, as I mentioned when it started, to establish a European gauge network within Baltic states, to be separate from existing railway network, which is initially, a post-Soviet Union gauge. And, due to the recent changes, what also happened, say, if you look from the freight movement perspective, and before 2022, February 24, all the freight logistics was more from east to west. And, now we are prioritizing south to north connection. And that's why it was necessary to also to make importance of this European gauge network, which is separate from existing gauge network. And it's not only about gauge or the width of the rails, it's about signaling systems, about all the security measures, what this project delivers. And specifically, if we look, for example, from freight perspective, establishing multimodal freight terminals and, let's say, establishing this 10T corridor all the way from Black Sea to Baltic Sea, talking with Ukrainian parties about, making a unified cargo transportation link through ports. This is all about it, I would say.
You mentioned this 10T corridor. So let's look at also the wider scope, because it isn't just the Baltic Strait. And this is a massive European project that connects other corridors. Tell us a bit more what this link is important and which other parts it's going to connect to.
Yeah, well, obviously I also want to say thanks to PKP. We signed a tri-party agreement in beginning of the previous year, last year. And Polish partners have been very cooperative with us, and it's always competing who is going to be first. But we are all countries are going towards this goal. And the link with Poland is going through Białystok. Our Polish partners are already designing and constructing it. And same as, in Lithuania, we need to complete this link from Kaunas to Polish border. So we plan to finalize all the procurement stage and sign a contract, I would say, in the second or third quarter this year. But if you look from the border perspective, then this 10T corridor also links, Scandinavia. And we had already preliminary discussions with Scandinavian part about this linkage through Baltic Sea, a tunnel, submerged tunnel, but obviously the cost is quite high. But why I want to tell this, but because this missing link currently, which we're designing and constructing in Baltic states, is not only about that, it's about all the way to Scandinavia, then through Poland, through Germany, and then you have whole Europe ahead.
So also, in terms of this whole project, it's very much a European Union funded project, very much coming a lot of that through grants and investments from the European Union. How is the perception here on the ground? Do ordinary people understand it, the significance? Is it visible here? Do people know the significance of this project?
When we started, let's say practically, I would say design phase, when we launched design tenders, then people started to feel it. Before that, it was like, the idea, the project is somewhere there, it's nice to have. But due to all these recent events, they start to understand the importance and significance of the project. And usually when you're design phase, then it's like you're delivering basically documents, and when it starts some kind of construction, then people see the real progress. And then they start to feel that, yes, actually it's happening. and it's inevitable. It's going to be there. It just matter when and how fast, but it's going to be. And by showing the construction pace and all the acceleration of the implementation of the project, then they realize, yes, that's happening. And before going into construction, we need to go through all the land acquisition activities, and then you have the negotiations with landowners. Obviously, nobody will be happy. I haven't seen such project in my also personal experiences. Sometimes there will be persons who are not happy, because their land is being expropriated or taken away. But generally, society is very supportive. Yeah, it's sake of the goal. And as I mentioned, if we see what's happening in the East, then people feel that this project gives much more benefit to it, also from security perspective.
Yeah, let's touch on security for a minute as well, because I think this has become not just an infrastructure project for Latvia, for the Baltics, for Europe, but also a defense project, right? And we have battle groups here in this part of the world, the Eastern Front of NATO, very much protected, very much important. So how does this project, how does Rail Baltica enhance the defense aspect?
Yeah, when we started to implement the Rail Baltica project, it was more about, having these economic benefits and boosting an economy in all three Baltic states and region. But, when the war started to spread out, then everybody talked about this military mobility component. For example, every 5 years we need to carry out a new CBA, updated cost-benefit analysis. So now we're about to finalize it. And this was also specifically mentioned to let's say, investigate, this military mobility component, how much military cargo we can transport, how many troops, how many passengers, can travel on our line. And despite that, we have also several military mobility requirements already implementing in our project, and we have already discussing it with NATO. So this is not...
NATO is also then involved in the preliminary designs of all this as well?
Yeah, we have adjusted the development design so it complies with their needs. It's about, axle loads and widths between the two railway tracks and so on, and about also this connectivity to ports and also freight terminals, which is crucial for them for let's say military logistics perspective. But I don't want to disclose any information. But what is also important here to mention that a part of EU cohesion envelopes, this multi-annual financial framework, financing envelopes, there is a military mobility funding, and this year we have also received specifically for Latvia a big part of financing package for one crucial also bridge over Daugava River in Latvia.
So there's clearly the benefits, Eriks, but let's talk about some of the challenges. You already mentioned that, and some of that land acquisition. It's not an easy job, but it's a huge engineering project. These are different stations. I'm right here in Riga. We're seeing there's going to be a new railroad bridge. Tell us a bit about some of those perhaps engineering challenges that you're facing here.
Yeah, let's say I would specifically mention Riga. In Riga, we have actually this is the only location where we have actually tunnel foreseen. It's from the global railway perspective, it's not a big tunnel. I would say it's like 1.7 kilometers long, but it's a crucial location where we need to, let's say, cross for existing railway tracks, which is a different gauge, 15-20 millimeter. This is quite challenging task because we go through actually the historical area of Riga, and you need to align all the design solutions with non-governmental organizations, to align with the local inhabitants, and sometimes for them they don't matter about railway. For them it's maybe important. Can I walk with my dog? There can I access my land plot? So this is a constant stakeholder management, which is also very crucial for this kind of scale project, especially if you go through let's say residential areas. Then another huge, I would say, construction object for I mentioned specifically for which we have received funds is this. Not inside Riga, but we have a separate railway, Rail Baltica bridge, and it's going to be as a dual carriageway. So it's a 3-level structure, grids with the road highway above, and in the second level we have Rail Baltica tracks. So it's, let's say, a combined railroad bridge, and it's only the fourth structure in the world with such a level of speed as we have. And this is also a good example how we collaborate with, let's say, local authorities, because we are always, mentioning this dig once approach. So let's say the other authorities see that the Rail Baltica project is being, implementing, it's moving forward. So we need to jump in this train and to develop also our, let's say, infrastructure around it. And this was a very good example how we can how we could collaborate, and we are collaborating with local authorities, Latvian state roads, who are also coming in with their financing and developing also their let's say, major highway schemes around Riga. So then, within our project, they see the opportunity that they can develop also their strategy on the whole road network expansion. Then in Lithuania, actually, we are currently on ongoing construction for the longest railway structure in Rail Baltica. That's a bridge over Neris River, 1.5 kilometers long. Also, it's a huge structure, and we had a huge challenge there to also align with environmental institutions because it's a Natura 2000 territory. And in Estonia, we have Saudevahe tunnel, but it's 220 meters long, and then we have a river over Pärnu River. Not much of complications there, but many of those examples we have.
But still, I think not an easy project to get done, right?
Yeah.
And also, give us some of the numbers, Eriks. So if we're looking at this whole project, looking at all the railway lines, the stations, give us some numbers in terms of how fast things will be, how much potential benefits there are going to be to the economy. I mean, this isn't just going to be good for Riga and Latvia. This will be good for a lot of Europe. So give us some numbers in terms of some benefits here.
Well, actually, I can give you just a recent number which comes out from this CBA, which was done by Boston Consulting Group. We have estimated that the net benefits is more than 20 billion euros for the project. I mean, it's that you calculate all together, First of all, it also comes that we transfer the road logistics and all the, let's say, freight from roads to railways. That's additional benefit. Then we need to speak about this environmental benefit, about sustainability, about greenhouse gas emission, and all the, let's say, environmental friendly design solutions that we implement that we can bring to the not only let's say actual Baltic economy, but also to whole this Green Deal policy which is taking place in Europe. Then as you know, we have a double electrified line, so we have also, let's say, studied the potential how to save energy. I mean, if the train is coming, with kinetic energy, I mean, I'm touching a bit physics, then when it stops, it breaks, it goes into potential energy. And then we have this, let's say, braking load, which can be also transferred. So this is just another example how you can actually benefit for such project implementation.
Yeah, and also in terms of, I think, such a construction project clearly has many employees. You have subcontractors, but also I think how is the dynamic between these different countries? How are you finding? You mentioned already Polish railways. You're working obviously with Lithuanian partners, with Estonian partners. So tell us a bit about that, because that's also interesting. That kind of European connectivity. How are you finding that, coordinating with all these different nations and countries?
Well, I would say it's quite challenging. Obviously, first we need to align between Baltic states, and each Baltic state there is a different mindset, I would say. But I would say this project is a very good example how we could unite Baltic states in terms of all these benefits that the project will bring. I would say around 5, 6, 7 years ago it was quite challenging, but now actually we are more united than ever, all three Baltic states. Then obviously the project cannot be implemented without our, let's say, consultants, contractors, foreign partners, because we are relying on their, let's say, engineering practice of delivering such scale projects. So we have more than 65, 70 different contractors, consultants involved from all over the world. And it's a huge, let's say, management of all those contracts and tasks. That's why also there is this, let's say, establishment of delivering organizations. We have national implementing body in each Baltic state, and then I'm representing central coordinators. So we are a joint stock company which legally can do works in different Baltic states, and we are, let's say, responsible for securing financing, for let's say, coordinating the project and to ensuring that the project is being delivered, let's say, in unified quality and according to our design guidelines, which also was a huge document. And we had quite a challenging times to align within Baltic states, but this is how to say, I'm calling it as a Bible for our project, because it ensures, let's say, compliance to different railway standards in all three Baltic states evenly. And I mean, so basically all the designs are majority of the contracts are designed by Spanish companies, because in Spain they have I would say apart from China, then Spain is #1 in Europe where we have high-speed railway networks. So their experience is also very valuable to our project. And in recent week also had a meeting with Spanish Minister of Transport, and also he stated the full support to our project because he knows how many Spanish companies are involved. Then we have also German partners, French, Deutsche Bahn, Aegis, and I can name it. Yeah.
So a truly European project in that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I'm curious because I know that the last sequence of Rail Baltica is supposed to also be a subterranean tunnel, also linking potentially Helsinki with Tallinn. And that's still, I think, to be decided. Can you tell us a bit more how realistic that part of the project is as well?
Yeah, with let's say, Finnish partners in Scandinavia, we have also signed, let's say, some kind of high-level memorandum. But as I said, they have done this preliminary, I would say, feasibility analysis about the cost of this link. I mean, it's huge, but I mean, also we need to calculate benefits. And in these times, you know, when you need to think about also security, how much benefits you can get. So, yeah, I would say just we need to push it forward, to convince them more and more to be able to implement this. But yeah, I would say this is the next phase of the project for sure.
Next phase. I think a very interesting phase, not just for your country of Latvia, but I think for all of Europe, very much reconnecting to the whole core of Europe. So I think an important project. Thank you so much for that, Eriks. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Nice for having me here. Thank you.
And thank you for watching.